Okay, guys, let's talk about the Day of the Dead, or as we say in Spanish, La Dia de los Muertos. This is a holiday that is celebrated usually around the 1st and the 2nd. On the Day of the Dead, the boundaries between life and death begin to blur. Men and women and children of all ages honor and celebrate their loved ones who passed away. They participate joyously in festivals that have their roots almost 4,000 years ago. Okay, it can be traced back to early Mesoamerican cultures. Now, the key purpose behind Day of the Dead customs is to make contact with the spirits of the dead, figuratively, guys, okay? To let them know that they are not forgotten and that their loved ones on earth still care about them. It's a way of keeping the connection between loved ones alive, though they may be physically separated by death, okay? And there's a bunch of different things that happen for Day of the Dead. For example, altar building, grave cleaning, lots of specific special food, and lots of celebration. And there's a lot of imagery, symbolism, and crafts that we can certainly recognize because the holiday has gotten very popular. It's spread way further than just Mexico. Okay, so let's look at altars. Altars come in all sorts of shapes and sizes, and they are dedicated to the people who have passed on. And they have certain things in common. So you can build them in your house, you can build them in your places of, where you work, public spaces, they're everywhere. And they usually have photographs, flowers, food, drink, candles, calacas and calaveras, which means skulls and skeletons, and incense. So all of these things together, we call these ofrendas, or offerings, all right? They're offerings to the people who've passed on. Okay, so the food or drink might be that person's favorite food or drink, or the specific food or drink of the Day of the Dead celebration. So here's some great examples. Lots of different stuff, but all kind of similar at the same time. Now there's grave cleaning, which happens too. So people will go to their family's graves, and they will not just clean the graves, but they will decorate them. And then instead of just, leaving as soon as they're done, they actually end up having large parties that go into the night. Music is played, there's dancing, so it turns into kind of a large celebration. So again, there's parties, there's parades, music, dancing, lots of costumes, so you'll see people dressed up a lot, and lots of traditional food. So I'm sure you guys are starting to recognize these images. So why celebrate death and the dead? Okay, so death is an unavoidable part of life, right? So instead of making it scary, it's designed to kind of make it a little bit lighter, a little bit easier to take, and it just sort of softens death, okay? So here we see some very traditional makeup, but there's absolutely no wrong way to do Day of the Dead makeup or calavera design. So lots of color or simple, very skull-like or just kind of pretty and decorated. Okay, pan de muertos is a very nice sweet bread that's baked around this time. Imagery, symbolism, and crafts. So calacas. Calacas it means whole skeleton. And usually the calacas are tall, skinny images, very well dressed, right? You see these everywhere. And they're usually whimsical, colorful, right? Not scary or macabre. Okay, so they just sort of symbolize mortality and the cycle of life and death, all right? Now, the prominence of skulls as a Day of the Dead icon, it goes all the way back to the Aztecs. Okay, skulls were a really important icon that illustrated their belief in the existence of an active afterlife. In Mexican culture, skulls continue to symbolize death, but also rebirth. Calaveras, those are the skulls. So lots of different ways to decorate calaveras, and these images pop up everywhere. So you see these little illustrations, patches, stickers in tattoo flash, like that and that, as masks, We see it everywhere. And these flowers that you're seeing all over the pictures, these are called marigolds. These orange flowers, they bloom around this time, and that's why they're considered the flowers of the dead. Okay, then there's lovely Papel Picado, which just means cut paper, basically. It seems like it's just cut paper, but if you really look at it, there's actually images in them, right? So this continues the skull imagery. And it's very thin tissue-like paper and very beautiful, bright colors, really lovely. Tons of it everywhere. All right, so let's talk about Jose Guadalupe Posada. He was a Mexican cartoonist and illustrator, an artist. His work has very much influenced many Latin American artists and cartoonists, and especially just the Day of the Dead celebration in itself. So his images were very satirical, okay, and had sort of a political thing, message to them as well. So he always kind of drew his skeletons in this sort of dressed up way. And the reason for that, there's a very specific reason why all the skeletons are well dressed. It's because death is the great equalizer. It doesn't matter how rich or poor you are, it will come to all of us, right? So no amount of money is going to make it go away. All right, so let's talk about your assignment. So you're going to choose a famous person from the past, okay? Somebody who has had a positive effect on history. And it's also going to be somebody whom no one else in your class has chosen. There's going to be a sign-up sheet, a Google sign-up sheet for that to make sure. Okay, and you're going to do a drawing of them inspired by both the Day of the Dead and by Tattoo Flash. Here's some student examples. So we have Elvis on the left, and we have Brandon Lee on the other side. So what do we notice here? Well, we see that they're actually skeletons, right? They have some sugar skull decoration, but they're wearing clothes and they have features like the hair and the eyebrows. And then there's symbols that represent them. So for Elvis, we have the jail behind him, and the signature hair and the outfit. We also see a nice banner. We see flowers, and then there's actually a quote in the banner, so keep that in mind. Sorry, it's Bruce Lee, not Brandon Lee. With Bruce Lee, we see that he's holding nunchucks, and he has the yin yang behind him, and he has some lovely, I think, lotus flowers around him. Okay, so here we have Audrey Hepburn and Prefontaine. So the one on the right, the Prefontaine one, is kind of different from all the other ones. The whole giant quote is behind him. That's fine. It's kind of a different way to do it, but the most traditional way is more like the one on the left, the Audrey Hepburn, where we have all these objects. So we have symbols of the person, we have flowers and the banner, and everything kind of overlaps. Everything is touching. John Lennon and Steve Irwin. So nice touch here. We have the lovely Australian flowers instead of Australian wildflowers instead of just regular roses, which are kind of traditional. And we also have the little alligator or crocodile that is also a skeleton, which is really nice. And the John Lennon one should have the nose blacked out, so I don't know why it's not. But anyway, you see the sugar skull decoration on both. These are some of the best ones that have ever been turned in. So we have Shakespeare, William Shakespeare on the left, and Edgar Allan Poe on the right. Absolutely beautiful. So you're going to be coloring them in with oil pastel. And if you look at the hair in the Edgar Allan Poe, you can see that I still want to see a full range of values. So you're going to be mixing your colors either with other colors or with the blacks and whites to get that nice full range. Thomas Edison on the left, Amy Winehouse on the right. So we see these lovely compositions that have everything touching, everything overlapping, the banner that comes across, the sugar skull decoration. And then in the Amy Winehouse one, to pull everything together, she put that lovely just color background that really ties it all together. The Thomas Edison one on the left is just completely covered, and that works too. So Amelia Earhart and Coco Chanel. Beautiful texture in the fur on the Amelia Earhart collar. So texture is still possible. Princess Diana. Another John Lennon. Okay, so this is what your drawings will have. Skull and skeleton of your historical figure, sugar skull decoration on the face, that's what I meant to say. Identifying features and clothing, a banner with a quote by your historical figure, so I don't want the banner to just say that person's name, it's got to have a quote. Flowers as an offering, so roses are traditional, but you can choose any flower you want, something more appropriate to your subject is fine. Symbols to represent your historical figure. And the final drawings will be done in oil pastel with marker outlines. So here's some more examples. Whitney Houston and Marie Antoinette. Leonardo da Vinci, and I think that's Florence Nightingale. Neil Armstrong, and Ray Bradbury. All right, guys, this should be a fun project. Have fun with it.